Can you imagine, right, if team was solely defined by where you collect a paycheck? Apollo 11 moon mission never would have happened. We would never have eradicated polio. The internet would never have happened. And more importantly, you guys, you would never have happened.
Leadership DM, Jay Scott's direct message to his team and clients. Learn how anyone like you can become an irreplaceable leader of unstoppable teams. Welcome to another Leadership DM, and this is Andrew. Today's DM comes from a session of the ELPA, the Executive Leadership Performance Accelerator. The next one's about to drop. Check it out. It tackles two questions that every organization thinks it knows, but kind of always gets wrong. First, what makes a leader? And actually, what makes a team? Two very fundamental things that if you get wrong, then, well, good luck leading a team or an organization. Nevertheless, a high-performing one. Jay breaks down why leadership isn't authority or a position, how teams are not org charts, and why the highest performing organizations let leadership move like a ball being passed in a basketball game from player to player and dunk. No air balls. Seriously, listen for the moment where Jay says he's the CEO, yet still the coffee boy. No, it's not a joke. It's part of the system. So let's get into it. Take it, Jay.
So we're going to talk a little bit about teamwork and leadership. But the basic fundamentals here, when we think about team and leader, we think distinctly different groups. The leader is the leader and the team is the team. But here's the truth. That's not at all the case. The leader is just as much a part of the team as everybody else. The leader is a subject matter expert, just like the coach on a professional sports team. Okay, that's their role, that's their job, that's the job that they're playing. And maybe they had another job before they got there, right? But that leader person, that manager or executive, and by the way, the leader doesn't have to be the manager or the executive, is no more important than anybody else on a high-performing team, right? We all pass the ball to the most appropriate person at any given time to advance the team's objectives. All right, so starting with this, I reference Martin Luther King Jr. because what I love about him is that, like, it doesn't really matter where you have grown up in the world. Most people know who Martin Luther King is, and nobody appointed him the leader of the human rights movement in the United States. Nobody asked him to do the job, right? He wasn't the manager, he wasn't the executive, he didn't have any authority whatsoever. And I think what's really important to acknowledge is that leadership isn't about power equaling authority. So starting with I'm your manager, I have power over you, so you need to do what I say. Leadership is about expertise. Expertise and passion equals authority in this case, right? Everybody on a team practices and plays a position, which makes them, over time, once they get their 10,000 hours, a subject matter expert. So this is what I want you guys to consider. I'm the CEO and the founder, so I'm the leader. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. So I have a CFO, Chief Financial Officer. I have a CXO, Chief Experience Officer. That really just means marketing. What if, and this kind of happened, not exactly, but one day the CFO comes to me and says, hey, we've been spending this money on this marketing initiative for the last 6 months, and I'm not seeing any return on investment. This is a CFO's job, right? To make sure that wherever we're spending the money that we're seeing a return on investment. And she runs through the numbers with me. She runs through how she's measuring it. And I'm like, cool. And I see that. And she's like, so I want to cancel this and I want to reallocate the funds to something else. Who's leading in that scenario? Who?
She is.
She is, the CFO, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. I get this, but you're going to call Andrew and tell him. I'm just kidding. I'm like, cool. Let's get Andrew on the phone. So I call Andrew and now it's me, the CFO, and Andrew. Who's the leader? It's marketing. We don't know. I mean, again, everybody wants to assume I'm the leader, but I've not been doing any leading so far.
How's the conversation go?
Right. So then I say, okay, Colleen, tell Andrew what you told me. So Colleen tells Andrew, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm thinking. And this is what I want to do. And then Andrew, he could be like, okay, I think you're right. That's not what happened on this day. Andrew said, here's some things that I don't think are covered in what you're measuring. This, and this, and this. And in looking at these numbers, I really think we need to hang in there for another 3 months. And we're going to see what it is that you want to see. And based on this data, me and Colleen were nodding our heads like, okay, oh, that seems, that seems reasonable. Who's leading now? Andrew's leading, right? Okay, so now check this out. I'm like, cool. Everybody Zoom high five. So I'm the leader, right? Where did I lead in there? No, I was basically the coffee boy. I showed up to a meeting. Right. I showed up to the meeting. I then called Andrew into a meeting. Like I facilitated the conversation, but I didn't lead. And so the idea here is that we all on a high performing team have our roles, our quarter inch drill bit, the thing that we're supposed to be good at. And we kind of have our lane, like the things that we're ultimately responsible for. Like ultimately, let's say Andrew and Colleen made a bad decision and I was there, I endorsed the decision. If all is said and done and that was a bad decision, who's it on?
All of you.
Me. I mean, ultimately me. I'm the one holding the bag, no matter what, right? But accountability doesn't necessarily mean leadership. Like I wasn't the one doing the leading. Cool. So the idea is we pass the ball to the person on the team at any given time that's the most appropriate person to advance our objectives. And in those moments, they're the leader. So my job as the leader, my job as the CEO and the founder of 120 VC, my job is to see what's next. Hey, what's 120 VC doing to grow? What's 120 VC doing to improve customer satisfaction, team member satisfaction, and profitability? That's my job. All in favor, say aye.
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 Do you think VC would have been in business, doing business with the Fortune 1000 for 25 years if I was the only one coming up with ways to improve customer satisfaction, team member satisfaction, and profitability? You guys want to know what the answer is? Absolutely not. Like we wouldn't have been here, right? But absolutely not. Like my team makes me better. I have customers all the time. They're like, I don't know how you do all of that in the day. And I'm like, because I don't. I have a team, right? So who's the leader? The person who's got the idea, the person who's got the expertise, the person who's got the passion, the person who sees what's next, that we all agree is what we should do to make what's new in any given moment is the leader. Here's the other coolest thing. I was in the military. I joined the Navy thinking, hey, the US military is the best of the best of the best. And we are. And then when I got in, I was like, oh my God, we're like, at least in the enlisted ranks, we're all a bunch of knuckleheads, right? And I was like, how are we efficient? And we were efficient because here's what they did. The military is really smart. They created the enlisted people, and these are the subject matter experts. These are the people that learn how to do things. And then they have the officers, and their job is leadership. That's it. That's their job. Their job is leadership. Okay. And so they go to officer training, they get commissioned, they go to their first post, and they're showing up and they could be responsible for like a mess hall, right? Like where they feed people. They don't know anything about how to do that, but you know what they've been trained to do is work with all the subject matter experts and ask questions like, what's broken? What's wrong? What do we need to improve? How's it going? And over the course of 2 years, they improve it. And then their next job could be like, I don't know, base security. And they've never had anything to do with base security, but their job is to go lead base security. And every 2 years, they move them around. Think about how this advances their capability and leadership. They spend 2 years building a team. And just when they've got it dialed and they think they know what they're doing and it's gotten easy, they send them somewhere else. And so they develop the ability to problem solve across multiple cultures. These are the best of the best of the best, the leaders, right? And they really, frankly, don't know how to do anything except lead. They're a subject matter expert. They're not any more important than anybody else on the team. Now, the other thing that's cool about the way the military does this is it in the military, it goes to like 09. So you could be like, you know how in the corporate world, it's like, hey, you're the doer. And then if you do good, you become a manager, right? Well, here's the thing. On the enlisted side, if you do good, you could like get 9 promotions over the course of 20 years just doing good. So it's not like, hey, you've become really good at being a subject matter expert, but in order to get more money, you have to go be a leader because a lot of people don't actually want to be a leader, right? And so it's cool in the way that they address this in that only people that want to be in leadership have to be in leadership. But again, the idea here is that leaders play the coach. They're not the subject matter experts. They call the plays, but they don't necessarily write the plays. They lean on the subject matter experts to write the play. And the last thing, and this is really important, when a leader can't get agreement, there's 5 of us, and we need to do something. And I ask you guys, how can we do this? I'm trying to help us architect our own roadmap to a shared goal. And let's say Becky's just like, no, I don't agree. I don't think that's the best way forward. But the other 4 of us are like, we see it. Should I disregard Becky's concern? No. Should I let us stall until we all get consensus? Absolutely not. So agreement is from the mind. Commitment is from the heart. So I'm going to say, Becky, if you hadn't been dissenting, saying this isn't going to work, I'd feel pretty confident. But that you're dissenting, I'm feeling very cautious. I know we have to do something to gather data. Can I get you to commit to an experiment? And in this way, get her to commit to join us. But because of her, me not trying to get her to just say, I agree, right? Or taking 3 years to get consensus, which is also a drag. It's, hey, I'm glad that you won't, I'm glad you won't agree or say that you agree. So let's move forward with an experiment and we'll be cautious and we'll learn and we'll get through this together. So that's what leaders do. Now let's talk about what makes a team. Have you guys ever noticed people are like, I'm on the tech team, or I'm in sales, I'm on the engineering team. Okay. They're in a single company, but they're like, this is my team, that's not my job. Right. The crazy part about this is, like, teams ratchet up and teams ratchet down, and more importantly, teams ratchet out. Can you imagine, right, if team was solely defined by where you collect a paycheck? Apollo 11 moon mission never would have happened. We would have eradicated polio. The internet would never have happened. And more importantly, you guys, you would never have happened. None of us. Because here's the deal. We are multi-team, multifaceted beings. And by the way, hopefully you guys are all on team U. I'm on team J. Scott, but I'm also on team Colleen, like, in so many ways, right? Like, the CEO in my company, my wife, the mother of my children. But then I'm on team Jacob, my oldest, my son. I'm on team Delaney, my daughter. And you know what? And then the 4 of us are on team Scott. I have a friend. It's true, I do. I have a friend. His name is James. And I'm on team James, and he's on team J, right? I'm on team Blizzard. I'm on team ResMed. I'm on team Ventura Foods. I'm on team NBC Universal, right? And you know what? This is funny when I ask this question. Who plays sports? Does anybody play sports? Does anybody play a sport? Dan plays a sport. Becky, Jason, Will, Brittany, Christian, right? Jim, Dean. That's a lot. I did this in a public talk to 30 people like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, who plays sports? And nobody. Anyway, like, dude, you guys are fierce about being on that team, right? So, like, the thing that's really important is what makes up a team, right? Here's what makes up a team. When somebody's got an idea, right? When organizations are optimized around solving for improving customer satisfaction, team member satisfaction, and profitability, and as you rationalize these things and eliminate any waste, anything that doesn't measurably contribute to that, you're just not working on it, you will become known as the organization within your company that is driving growth, period. Whether you're marketing, whether you're IT, whether you're HR, okay? And so as you're doing that, and the other people in your organization are doing that, it's never a question of, we don't have enough money or people to do the things that we need to do, because everything that you're doing, it does something critical to improving and growing the business. Improves customer satisfaction, team member satisfaction, profitability. So when your team comes up with an idea and your team is full, right? You're full capacity and you're doing all things that measurably grow the business and improve the business, and you're like, hey, we have this other thing we need to do, so we're going to go and ask for funding. And you can demonstrate, you can talk to how it measurably improves 1 or 2, if not all 3 of the 3 pillars. The answer is, we've got the money, here you go. Or, we can't afford it this quarter, but we'll look at doing it next quarter, next year. Okay? Now, it's not this, hey, I'm fighting for resources, I'm desperate, I'm hanging on for dear life anywhere in the organization, because whether you're marketing, your sales, or your engineering, in this environment, everybody is working on things that measurably improve. So now, let's say Becky's team and Sarah's team and Brittany's team are needed to work together to do something that Kimberly noticed would improve customer satisfaction, team member satisfaction, and profitability. And she calls you guys together and she's like, hey, listen, I figured out this thing. What do you think? And you guys were all like, oh my God, I totally see how that'll do this thing, improve like all 3 of the pillars. Nobody's like, I don't have time for that. Nobody's like, oh my God, go away, I don't have time to talk to you. Everybody's like, oh my God, that's great. And we'll either get to it now because we can get funding and we can get people and we can get support, or we'll get to it later, right? So currently, the antithesis to teamwork is that people are trying to defend their lives, basically, because they're being asked to do too much, because the vast majority of them, when asked, what are you working on, cannot produce a list of priorities that measurably improve customer satisfaction, team member satisfaction, and profitability. They're not time blocking. They're not moving the needle. They're not focused on building single, unified, high-performing teams. But when you shift and you start doing all the things that we've talked about, and your team actually starts getting those outcomes, and the other organizations in the companies that you work in start adopting these because they just can't not, because you're killing it, this opens up the ability to cooperate across teams. And can you imagine a world where your vendors wouldn't be a part of that, where they wouldn't want to be a part of that? So what makes a team? Nothing groundbreaking has ever been accomplished by a single mind. Putting unnecessary boundaries on what a team is limits our potentials. So at the end of the day, a shared goal is all we need to be a team. Leaders belong to the team that they lead, and they're part of it. Our customers are on our team. And by the way, how do you know when somebody's asking you to team with them?
They're engaged.
They ask for help. One of you did this week. One of you called a support center somewhere. One of you called and said, my thing is broken, can you help me? And in that moment, you were asking that person on the other side of the phone that works for another company to be on your team for just a little while. And so when people come to you and they say, hey, I need help, or will you help me with this? Here's what they're saying. I want to be on your team. They came to you, Nick, Amy, Dan. They came to you, Liz, Kalia, and they said, hey, I want to be on your team. How flattering is that? And here's an opportunity, not necessarily to get overwhelmed, right? But if we're managing our priorities, and this is where I was going in the very beginning of class, what's the very first thing we all have to do when we enter the workforce? We have to learn how to do a good job. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And you know what else? You know what else we all have to do? Learn how to manage our priorities, because your manager can't do it for you, because nobody can do that for you. All right. Team principles, high trust, high performance. So guys, here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways that I've found to measure opportunity, and then also measure the opposite of what's taking place. I'm not going to go through these ad nauseum because you guys have the deck, but the idea is that high trust, high performance teams, every member of the team cultivates trust, embraces healthy conflict, commits to decisions, champion ownership and accountability, focus on collective outcomes. The opposite of that would be to neglect trust, avoid conflict, resist decisions, ignore ownership and accountability, and prioritize individual success over team success.
All right, let's recap this, shall we? Boop. Leaders aren't defined by power. They're defined by what they make possible. Leaders aren't defined by paychecks. They're defined by shared goals. When leadership can move, execution can move. When teams are allowed to form around outcomes, not boxes, performance compounds. Thanks for joining us for another Leadership DM. If you liked today's session, it was a small excerpt from the 16-week Executive Leadership Performance Accelerator, where teams learn in real time, in the work, the execution leadership system that we use at 120 VC and with our clients to deliver 227% better results. So if that sounds like something your team needs, check out the link in the description. For more videos like this, follow Jay Scott on the Instagrams, and of course, subscribe to Leadership DM by hitting that subscribe button, that little bell, and you'll get notified when new episodes drop, which is pretty much every week. All right, until next time, Zoom high five. Ah!